Nothing changes on this end. This is our 7th week of our live feeds. Week 7, where today is Laguna Agate. So it's been a very busy week and very tiring week for everyone here.
Yeah, but I don't know about all this traveling. I mean, we just spent 2 weeks in Oregon, and now we're going back to Mexico.
What about South Africa? We were there. We began in South Africa, right? So and now we're going back to Mexico. And next week, where are we going?
Back to Oregon.
Ah, well, homeland.
And then back to Mexico.
And then back to Mexico? Why can't we just do it all at once?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I have some other exciting news. Speaking of traveling, you will be heading out to Graveyard.
I certainly hope
June
so.
1st.
That's the plan.
So, the machine is rented for the 10th?
Yes, it's reserved to pick up on the 10th.
Okay, so your mining operation will be around like the 12th through the 30th?
I think the rental would be the 10th to the 24th.
10th to the 24th, okay.
With probably an option to stay a few days longer.
If anyone wants to come to our claim while we are on the Graveyard Point area and mining and digging, those permission slip forms are available for you to apply for. And there will be certain regulations given the current world situation. So make sure you read all of the fine print on those. If you want any more information about that, just drop us an email and we will contact you. Okay. And what else should I talk about? Oh, other exciting news. We have a tentative place, or a date in place to open the store back up to our retail customers. And this is, again, tentative. We want to follow all of our governor's regulations for stay-at-home, so we are following those. And we are keeping in mind the safety of our staff and our customers and everyone who is in this building. So we were doing a soft opening as of June 1st. When Jean is out of here and out into the wild, we will encourage appointments. We will require hand sanitizer and face masks, and we will only have one group of people in the store at a time. And that is also still tentative, but what we are hoping for. Speaking of safety and staff, our staff is all at home, but they are here with us, right, Evan? Have you seen anyone there? Oh, okay. So Annie, Stephanie, Sandra, Corey, and Sherry are all at home watching with us tonight and helping us with those comments that you may have. Isaac is in the back office, and he is recording our feed so that it can be put on our YouTube station later on for other people to watch. And Evan is behind the camera. Can you wave, Evan, please? At the camera?
At the camera.
Come on. Play along.
Keep in mind, you can ask questions or have comments at any time and ask questions about anything. And we'll try to get back to you.
And we've noticed a little bit of glitch doing this with being able to contact you after the feed, so it would very much help if you do end up bidding on an item and you're interested in your status of that item, which does take some time. We had gone through over 250 comments last week, and it takes some time to really record where those timestamps are and finalize everything. So we have greatly appreciated everyone's patience with us getting back to you. We do, if you've ordered from us before, we have your information. If you have not, and this is a new thing for you, it would be greatly helpful if you could just send us a Facebook message through the Jump Shop page that you're on right now, so we have a way of contacting you back. Just create that link for us. So, speaking of commenting, we encourage you to comment, even if it's just like, hey, hi, hello, thank you for sharing, anything you have to say. If you comment, your name will end up in this box next week. And this is a box of last week's names. And what happens? Why do you want your name in this box? Your name gets put in this box. Oh, that's the second time.
What?
That's crazy. I think.
I don't remember. Well, Thomas.
Can you hold it out, Evan? Yeah, hand it to Evan. This customer of ours, thank you very much for being our customer. You get 20% off your purchase tonight. And it is by chance. So we want to give everyone a chance of having something for fun. So here's our second chance box.
So if you make a comment during the feed, you'll be in the box next week.
Yeah. And your chance to win a 20% coupon. This box has numbers 1 through 148. I had to check. Numbers 1 through 148. And whatever number Jean picks is going to be half off tonight to the first person who comments that number. It could be now. It could be during the feed. It could be after the number has been shown. When whoever is the first person to comment this number will get that item half off.
Of course, nobody knows what it is yet.
No. And I should say, before you make that decision, that the price ranges tonight are between $15 and $1,600. So, or no, $2,500. What's the magic number?
132.
Ooh. 132. Okay. So, we've done the boxes. Today is Laguna Agate. Should we start with this pedestal rock right here? Okay.
I'm sure you've noticed from past feeds that we have this, usually have a pedestal rock here, a big rock. This is actually a Laguna Agate from the Agate Claim. It weighs how much?
47 pounds.
47 pounds.
So, if we were talking about a different rock, that really wouldn't mean much. But this is Laguna Agate. Have you ever had another 47-pound Laguna Agate?
Not from the Agate Claim, and this is a little bit. This is was like a vein deposit, or where a vein was coming along. That's why it's so large, because there aren't any Agate Laguna nodules, whole nodules that are that big. You see, it's got nice red, pink, and yellow. It's I always thought of it as a great cabbing rock, somebody who likes to make sets, or multiple stones that have a similar pattern.
Can you get the whole surface of the round area?
Where's the spray bottle?
Wait.
I'll spray that.
It has a quartz center, as you can see, but I still think that it's possible you could cut a specimen out of this piece. It does have a fairly full skin, and the only very close area right here, come down to here, Evan, is right here. If you cut through this area right here, you'd have that little bit of exposed vein there, but the entire other area would be
A natural outside.
a natural outside with a full pattern. I'm just going to tip this back over. So that is called our pedestal rock. And if you are interested in the pedestal rock, you have to comment pedestal rock. And this one is $2,500. And that would create cabs for a lifetime. So let's learn more about Laguna Agate. Where is it from?
Laguna Agate is considered the most colorful banded agate in the world. And where is it from? Well, I'm going to get my little road map out. It's from Chihuahua, Mexico, is the general answer. And here's a Mexican map. I've shown this before. Sorry, it's kind of old. So here is El Paso and Juarez. And here is Chihuahua City. And the highway is Highway 53. This is now a 4-lane highway rather than a 2-lane like the map shows. And if you're going down the highway, you see right here, there is a big lake. That is Ojo Laguna. there are two towns here. The town of Laguna is over here along the highway, but on the other side of the lake, next to the railroad tracks, you can see the railroad tracks run up here towards El Paso, is Estacion Ho'o Laguna, which is a small ejido. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we talked about the Agua Nueva agate, and that is right up over here. And over here is El Sueco, where the El Sueco agate deposits are. Just north of the Agua Nueva are the Coyamito agate deposits. And the Gregorio and several other agates are all in this area. The Laguna agate itself is in a wide area in this little north-south mountain range. There are many, many deposits over a large area. It's quite a bit different than the other deposits to the north, which are more isolated and not as large. There are many claims in the area now, but all the agate from this area is referred to as Laguna agate, with one little exception.
And what is that?
And that's on the very south end of the mountain range, where the mountain range comes down. There's a deposit that was called Mesquite Agate. Sometimes it's called Mesquite Laguna, sometimes it's just called Mesquite. And it is a little different than the agates, other agate deposits in the mountain range. It tends to be only red, white, and blue. It does not have any yellows, or very seldom has yellows or purples that like you can find in all the other Laguna agate deposits.
Let's talk about the town of Estacion Ojo Laguna. Can you tell us about the town?
It's a small ejido. It's filled with friendly, family-oriented people. If you go there, it's like going back in time a little bit. The town has no paved roads. The town received electricity for the very first time in 1997. That's not that long ago. Before that, there was no electricity, no TVs, no electric radios, no electric heaters, nothing electric before 1997. It has a church and a school and 3 gravel roads that parallel the railroad tracks.
So
that's kind of what it's like.
In this old town, can you tell us some of the general history of the production that's come from there and these Laguna agate deposits? How long has this production been happening?
The general history of the production of Laguna agate starts in the middle 40s or late 40s. It was just collected off the surface. Ranch hands or whatever would just go and pick up a few of the rocks, and some people would be interested in taking it to El Paso, where there would be other people who were interested in it. Laguna agate is mentioned in the Lapidary Journal in the late 40s, and a man named Ralph Mueller, no relation to me, was credited with finding the material in the Laguna area. Surprisingly, the Laguna agate was found after many of the other agate deposits. In other words, Coyamito, El Sueco, Gallego, all those agates were known before the Laguna agate was known. So once its beautiful colors and tight banding became known, it got picked up more regularly, and a little hand digging was started. People would go up into the mountains east of town and wander around till they found a place to dig and dig. This went on for many, many years, and the market in the United States, the agate that was available was from these little hand diggings or people just collecting off the surface. This, excuse me, this continued until about 1993 when Armando Mendoza, who is the owner of the Alianza Claim, and his friend Fernando Flores, who lives in Chihuahua City, decided to mine the Mesquite Claim and use a dozer. And this was a kind of a new thing. And so, I don't know, wasn't familiar with the operation itself. I was there a few years later. So I don't know if they just used the dozer to start with and then dug by hand after that, or if it was there for a longer period of time. Anyway, a machine was used. And the first batch of Laguna Agate, the 500-pound batch, hit the U.S. market that year. That was in 1993. This created quite a ruckus, and Gabriel Olvera, who lived in El Paso, and was mining the coconut geodes, decided to take a piece of equipment into the Laguna area, and he took it to a place called Conijeros, which is on the current La Puerta claim. He took a dozer in there and bulldozed up this area. Now, the name Conijeros means rabbit holes or rabbit tunnels, and the people had dug by hand here over the years, had dug many little tunnels into the side of the hill, and that's where the name came from. A lot of people think that there was a claim called Conijeros, but that's not correct. The claim is La Puerta, and Conijeros is an area on that claim. Well, he dug there with a dozer. I was there in 1995, I believe, after he had gotten started, and he had about 20 people working there on the claim. And the agate that was produced from that area is some of the finest that has ever been produced from the Laguna area. Since then, since 1995-96, periodic mechanized equipment or mechanized mining operations have occurred up until this day. About 2 years ago, Andres Carrillo mined on the El Puerto claim, both in the old Conijeros area and on the other side of the hill. And he produced fantastic agate, and the very good Laguna agates that you see on Facebook today all came from his operation. Most of those agates were on the other side of the hill. He tried to dig down into the Conijeros area more, but the back wall of that was 20 feet high and it was too dangerous, so he moved on the other side of the hill, and it was very, very fine agate from there also.
So how many claims are in this area?
Okay. This, of course, changes over time, but I have a little, when I went down there and was talking to Armando and Fernando, I had an engineer draw me a map or research a map of claims. So I have a map, what claims were in the area as of 1998. And I'm going to begin. And I hope you can see this. If you can't, or if you're interested, you can go on our website and it's published there. So, and you can get a good view of the town. So here is Estacio Nojo Laguna. You can see there's like 30 buildings there. That's the town. And this is the mountain range. And these are the claims. Some of the more famous claims. This is San Martin, one of the bigger ones. This is El Puerto. where the long one right here is Alianza, and the Mesquite Claim is way down over here. So at this time there was 13 or so claims.
Next map.
Gabriel passed away about 4 years ago, and when he did, there's been some change in the claims. Some people thought, well, I'm going to go in there and make sure that all the land is covered. So this is a map with the satellite photo. You can see the town right here. And all these additional claims have been filed. Somebody went in there and filed claims all around the outside of the old claims. So here's El Puerto. Here's San Martin, which is now canceled. And here is Alianza. And you can see Alianza is only half the size it was before that because they dropped the southern part of it because it didn't have any agate on it. So this is how the claim situation stood about 3 years ago.
So should we look at some of these agates?
Yes.
And we'll talk more about the gem shop's involvement in Alianza Claim. Just a reminder of how this feed works. What was the number, Evan, that's half off?
132.
132. We're going to start with number 1 and go through 148. And if you are interested in a number, simply comment that number and sold in the comments bin. And we will go through the messages and comments in the time frame that they came in after the feed is through. And Evan, will you follow me? We're going to start over here. So we're going to start with this section of agates here. And this section of agates is all from the Alianza Claim. And this section of agates was also produced this past 6 months. Can you tell our customers about how we go about grading the rock when we receive it, and how we choose the materials to cut for specimens versus selling for rough?
Okay, I have known Armando for 25 years, and also being a miner myself, understand some of the problems in grading the rock. I have an arrangement with Armando and the agate that is produced out of the Alianza Claim. It comes here, and I get to grade it, and then they are paid relative to our grading. When
Try to turn these on. It looks dark.
when the rock gets here, it's gone through, and those pieces to be selected as number 1 grade, have to be able to be cut with a full pattern. It could be broken, but have to have a way of cutting a full, complete pattern. 2, they have to be show some color. And 3, they have to be at least 2 inches in size. Those agates are selected out and go into the number 1 pile. Everything that's 2 inches and smaller, whether it's whole nodules or broken nodules, is separated out and put into 5-pound lots. The number 1 material is then made into 10-pound lots. These lots are very carefully made as equal as possible, both regards to size and quality of agate. Nothing is removed or selected out from the agate we receive until those lots are made. This assures the market to have access to the number 1 material. Of course, if you're trying to make lots that are all the same, there's always some agates left over that don't fit. And that's what we end up cutting here. This is what is left over from making the 10-pound number 1 agate lots.
So, can you tell us more about La Alianza Claim?
Let me talk a little bit about the Laguna area, not just on the Alianza Claim, but the other areas as well. The Laguna Agate deposits are very, very frustrating from a miner's point of view. The mining is very difficult because you can't tell where the agate is. It seems to be found in pods or areas with very little indication of why it should be there. For example, one time I was helping Armando mining with an excavator, and Armando and his son Lalo and I thought that this particular area would be a very good spot to work. So we started digging there with the excavator. We dug for almost a week, moved many, many tons of rock, and found 4 agates. This particular area was only 30 yards from where Armando had dug by hand years ago, producing hundreds of pounds of beautiful banded agate. So there's no indication in the geology of the deposit to tell you there's going to be agates here or agates there. Likewise, on the Alianza Claim, one agate deposit will be a little different than the others, even though they can be very similar as well. And this occurs in the mountains for a good 3 miles. There are some generalities that you can say. The agates tend to be a little larger in the north, going north, in the north end of the mountains, on average. The El Puerto Claim has produced the most colorful, beautiful pieces, and they range from full range of size, from very small to pretty large. Curiously enough, the claim between El Puerto and Alianza is called Laguna, and you'd think a claim with the name Laguna would be really good, but no good agate has been found on the Laguna claim. I suppose if there's some characteristics that are more common with the Alianza other than the other deposits, is that the banding in the Alianza agate tends to be a little tighter and finer. I think you find more parallax on the Alianza agate than you do in any of the other locations. They tend to also be a little smaller than the average agate nodule found at some of the other locations. Excuse me. The agate that I posted or that Agatha talked about in my Facebook post was from a place on the Alianza Claim called the Point of the Beautiful Ones, or La Punta Los Almuerzos. I think I said that right. La Punta Los Almuerzos.
Sandra, did he say it right? We always check.
Yeah. And that is on the far north end of the claim, high up on the mountain. So I mean, the Alianza Claim kind of is low down on the south end and high up in the mountains. And the agates that came from there were exceptionally beautiful and tended to be red and yellow. Nothing like the agates that are come from the south end of the claim, which tend to be more purples. Also, to give you some information on the agate nodules themselves, the first time I came to the Point of the Beautiful Ones and started walking up the hill, I could not believe it. There on the ground were hundreds of agates, all beautiful green on the outside, all nice nodules. And I thought, what, hasn't anybody ever been here before? Excuse me. Then I noticed, we're having camera problems.
Come on, Evan.
Then I noticed that all the nodules
Can you hold the camera, please? Thank you.
had a little chip on them. And they were all chipped, and they were all solid black inside. All the nodules were complete siderite balls with no agate in them at all. I have heard many complaints over the years of looking at Laguna Agate and people saying, well, why is this chipped? It's because for every agate that's in the market, there were 80 or so that are left there, that are no good, that are nothing.
And the only way you know that
And
is
the
if you
only way
chip
you
them.
know that is by chipping them.
And even with the cost of transportation and all of that, it's even more important for rock to be checked at the mine versus, we're going to do this tray next, Evan. Can you grab it? Thank you. Okay. So this tray I wanted to separate and have Evan scan over slowly. They have the price and the number right below the stone that he'll spend a little time on each one. This tray is all cut. I cut this whole thing this week. I took one of those 5-pound lots that Jean talked about of the number 1 material that's 2 inches and smaller, including the broken material and the whole nodules. It's a mixture. And I cut one of those bags to show you what's possible if you're interested in buying one of those bags. So all of the specimens in this tray were produced out of one bag. And you can kind of tell that they were mined in a similar pocket because their colors are similar to each other. It's like this spring's line of Alianza. But can you turn that off? I don't think that works. I'll get this light and see if that works. Is that better, Evan?
Didn't do anything.
So all of these nodules have some nice mauve-y pink and lavender with white accents, and that clearish gray banding around the outside is kind of the common characteristics I'm seeing of this batch. Gary asks, how many were throwaways? When you're mining Laguna Agate, how many do you throw away and how many do you bring to market, Jean?
Oh, that depends a little bit on where you're working, but I'm guessing when I was mining there was like maybe you kept 60%.
60% and threw away
and threw
40%.
the rest, and that's all the qualities you want to keep.
I
So
remember you. I was right out of high school, in college when you were mining Alianza, and I remember you saying how difficult it was. I remember you calling and saying, "I just spent 3 weeks and I have 4 agates to show for it," and you were just crushed. And then we just all hoped that you were going to get something in that last week or 5 days that you had. And you did. And it was just a lifesaver. Felt like a lifesaver. So we're going to go on to some cabs. These cabs are specifically cut out of one rock that was in our cabbing rough, Laguna Agate cabbing rough, that we'll be showing you later. Jean, can you tell me or tell everyone about the cabbing rough and how it is selected as that grade?
As you're digging, of course, not everything comes out in a nice whole nodule. If the piece is broken in such a way that it cannot cut a specimen, but still has really good banding, it's what we put into, or what we classify as our cabbing grade. That's the kind of rock that you cut up and make cabs out of. The deposits, the Laguna Agate deposits, especially on the Alianza Claim, have some north-south trending faults running through them. And along these faults, you can find veins of moss agate. And generally, that stuff is just thrown away. But occasionally, the moss agate then turns to very fine banded agate. And if you happen to hit some of that, then that goes into the cabbing grade rock as well. And these were all cut from the same.
These were all cut from
rock.
the same rock.
So I think this might have been one of those veins.
7 right now, and all of these cabs and the specimens we just showed you and the next batch we're going to show you were all produced for this feed. Jean's been busy in the lapidary, begging for help. So we'll scan over the whole group of them right after this one. This is the last cab here. Large teardrop shape, really nice banding and tubes in almost all of them. Okay, so like the next section here, I think if you have it at a slight angle, we don't have as much of a shadow. This next section here, if you guys have been following my Facebook posts, I did a post this past week on a bandito in the lapidary who stole an old sack of rocks. Where did that sack come from, Jean?
Yes, that old sack of rock. That I believe it was the early 1980s. I got a message that a rock shop in Texas wanted to sell all its merchandise. So I arranged to go down there and look at it. I think it was Kerrville, Texas, and maybe Brad Cross arranged this with me. So I went down there to look at all the rock and ended up borrowing some money and buying it. There was quite a bit of Laguna Agate in this collection, or in this inventory of rock, and all the sacks were of equal weight, and we decided to sell them just like we bought them. However, there was one sack that was not, and so I couldn't offer it for sale like the others, so that sack ended up in my basement. And this took place before we moved into this building, so it was quite a while ago. The interesting thing is that of seeing these agates together, these are all hand dug or collected agates. These were from all collected before there were claims in the area. They were collected before any equipment was used in the area. But there is no indication, no way of knowing what claim or what area they came from. It could have been you know, a bunch of people just going up there and collect or whatever. I had forgotten completely about the sack until we were starting to figure out where are we going to get some agates for this feed. And then I remembered that we had that sack, so we cut up the whole sack, and these are from that.
So you can see how much they vary, where you saw all of the Alianza kind of more similar in their color range. These vary tremendously. This one has amethyst in the center and this siderite around the outside. Number 57, 200.
Where this one looks more typical of
La Puerta Claim. But who knows? They were picked up everywhere. $165.
Number 61 is triangular in shape.
Is that like because it was like the edge of a vein area, Gene?
Yeah, I think that was sort of a pseudo vein, or going along, or close to a
350.
vein, and for some reason it didn't fill in as a nodule. But it's still complete in this case. It's like a little triangular shaped vein, very red.
Number 62 is probably one of the very best, if not the best, agates we have tonight. 1600. It weighs 4 pounds.
Kind of unusual colors. You don't sort of see these colors in currently dug agates or later dug agates.
Number 63 is also from that old sack. 500 for the pair. It weighs 2.55 pounds. Measures 4.5 by 3.5 by 2. What a striking white band and a druzy center. Stunning. Jumping back to number 69, because I didn't put them in order on the table. $45. Number 60. This one has that really interesting extra mineral growth of that red. I don't know what it is. I'm not a mineral person. Maybe Bob Wright can tell me, because he's corrected me so many times. And this one here, number 59, $40. So it's typical of Alianza, but it was in that sack. All right, we have a few more cabs to show you. Here's number 6. These are all pairs. 40 for 64. And all of these are cut out of that Laguna Agate cabbing material. That is selected for its color and its banding, for the potential to make smaller cabs where it would not make good specimens or other things that you might be cutting. Number 6632 for the pair. $32, number 67. It's a natural little druzy edge on the edge there. What's up?
7 and 10.
7 and 10, Evan. Could you pull those, please? 68 is 32 for the pair. Number 69, 32. All right, we had number 32. We had a request for number 10. This is 120 for number 10 for the pair. Fairly complete backs. Little open window there. It's from the Agate Claim. And number 7. Number 7 is $60. Has a nice pink floater in the inside. Another one? Ooh, yeah, I like this one too, whoever that is. Number 5 is $85. This one has some incredibly tight banding. Nice yellow color, has a little bit of parallax you can see there. And a druzy center. There's number 5. All right, where'd we leave off? Number 71 is a slab of Laguna. It's 45. Thought I'd throw this in there for wire wrappers of sorts. It's a beautiful stone. Full banding to the center. Can you shoot a little of that, Evan? And then we'll move on to this big agate. Talk about this big agate, Jean.
That agate, I believe, is not an Alianza. I think that came from the San Martin claim, which is the furthest to the north. The agates from there tend to be, or can get a lot larger.
I can barely hold on to these. They're so big. These both together weigh 18 pounds, 18.3 pounds. Talk about some big agates. I'm going to hold one at a time just so I can move them. Number 72 is $1,200 for the pair.
Maybe I should say a little bit about cutting Laguna agates.
Sure.
Quite often in the Laguna agate deposits, there are a lot of healed fractures where the agate nodule and the surrounding rock were cracked and then resealed, and quite often these fill in with black siderite. And if you see those on the, if you're going to spend a couple $100 on an agate nodule and you're going to cut it, you don't want to cut through one of those if you can help it. So you look around the outside of the nodule and try to find those and mark them and plan your cut so that you don't go through those. This particular agate was very large. Yeah, and there you can see one.
Yeah, you can see a black siderite line here.
And I had it sitting on my desk for 2 years trying to figure out how to cut it. And I think I probably did okay. Of course, I didn't know it was going to be a quartz-centered one at the time, but it has several of those black siderite lines that run through it, and I avoided most of them.
Can you get that light? I can't make up my mind if I like that light or not. I just feel like always have lighting problems.
Yeah, we're not professional photographers.
Here, that helped a little. So, but we're doing the best with what we have. That's all I gotta say. All right, this next tray is number 73 through 83, and if it's a numbered pair, it's for the pair, and these are each $25. So it's 73, $25. Do you want to take over? You're better at this than I am, and I can't talk and do this at the same time. So number 74 has a little bit of a dome curve on there. Come over here, and if we angle it, it's a little bit better of light. I'm trying to get the patterns close. Get up and down. So these are a mixture of agates that we've cut in the past few years, I think, like 2 or 3 years. Some were produced for Tucson and didn't sell. Some were produced other times and ended up in a box, and we just kind of picked them all out and put them back together. Tossed the salad. So 81 is $25. 82, $25. Some nice raspberry and red color in that one. 83 has some gold coloring, orange, nice orange band in the center, orange and yellow. So 84 through 95 are going to be $40 each. Jean, you want to talk about something else now? Tell us about one of your mining operations at Alianza.
Well, I have mined there myself 4 times. Each time with an excavator for a month-long period. I have a special arrangement that I make with Armando. We paid for all the mining operations, all mining expenses, I'm sorry, and hire our Armando or whoever he wants as workers. That way they get paid money and also witness what happens at the mine, where the agate comes from, and what kind of qualities were obtained. This allows them then to plan their mining operations later, whether by hand or with the rented equipment or whatever. And so because of the nature of the Laguna Agate deposits, only one of those operations produce enough rock to pay for the operation. That's how difficult it is. The agates that Andres just produced are outstanding and incredible, but he has them priced at $150 a pound. But 1 month of Andres' operation, he spent $10,000 in diesel fuel because the agates aren't everywhere. They're very difficult to mine. The only one time did we mine up at the point of the beautiful ones. And in that case, I had to actually build a road halfway up there, and because this is pretty high in the mountain. But the agates there are thin, but when you get a good one, it is usually very, very good.
What else you got there, Jean?
Well, to give you an idea of the length of time and what has happened mining there, I was mining once there with Armando near the Arroyo, and discovered an old cave dug into the side of the hill. This was a deposit of Laguna Agate that somebody had dug by hand and into the side of the hill. Armando was there with me and was shocked and surprised because this is on the Alianza Claim, where he has worked for 50 years and he did not know about that cave.
So get the next one ready.
So it was actually dug before he was involved with the Alianza claim.
I just lost the price tag for 105. 65? 65 for this one. Number 106, 40. $107, 55. Got anything else? Tell me about the story. No, the rabbit. Oh, we have to save that story. That's about Coimito. Trying to think of one of your other stories. No, that was Agua. It's the bees. No.
Well, you want me to? Okay, I'll talk some more.
Yeah, talk. Everyone wants to hear what you have to say. They don't want to hear what I have to say.
I think it would be good to point out that the gem shop has had a very long relationship with Armando and Fernando. I first met Fernando in 1995, I think, just after he and Armando had produced the Mesquite Agate. Armando asked me if I would come to the Alianza Claim and advise them on digging the agate there. Because Gabriel had just produced this fantastic agate from the Conijeros area. The Mesquite Agate was not as saleable anymore. So Armando wanted to mine his Alianza Claim. So we had to hike in there. We hiked in and looked at the deposit, and I gave him some advice on working. I have known Armando for a very long time. You know, he lives in town. So does his brother and sister. Armando has lived there his entire life. His son, Lalo, also lives there with his family. He has three daughters, three granddaughters for Armando. And I was privileged to attend Lalo's oldest daughter's wedding a couple of years ago in Ojo Laguna.
Oh, where's the sticker for this one? Did it fall out?
Fernando passed on a couple of years ago,
Where's this one?
and since then,
Okay.
another granddaughter, Bianca,
Is there a sticker over
has
there?
assisted him in the paperwork and dealing with the mining office and the things that Fernando used to take care of. I have known her most of her life
55.
and consider her a
What's the
friend,
price?
and did attend
165 for number
her
55.
Cocineros when she turned 15 in Ojo Laguna. So I'm very familiar with the family, and we continue to get Laguna from the Alianza Claim.
I remember sending you down there with like balloons, because you would give them out to all the kids in the town. Even and keep packing your truck and everything. And you're like, oh, I have to bring the balloons and the coloring books.
Yes, and Spanish English books.
That's right. We did education books one year, didn't we? We did clothing one year, or like gifts for all of Armando's family, all of his great grandkids and grandkids. It's a wonderful family.
It is. Yes.
What number were we on over here, Evan? 114? 114 is 125. So what is the, when you're talking about yield, that was a very interesting question, and it's got me thinking of other questions that maybe you guys are thinking of too. When you're digging in the ground for Laguna Agate, and it's in hard rock, you're chiseling, digging and chiseling with hammers and chisels, right? You're not just digging.
It varies. There are places where the agates are in a softer rock, and then you can be going through that, and all of a sudden the rock turns hard, and they're in hard rock, and it's very strange. It's not like it's supposed to be.
Not like it's supposed to be. But you said, you said that you threw away about 40% of the rough that doesn't even make it to market. It's dug out and checked and then rejected.
It's just tossed over the side.
And then you bring it back here and you grade it, right?
Yes.
So then what percentage of that 60% that remains is number 1, and what percent is number 2 and 3?
That depends somewhat too on the location that you're digging and how selective you can be when you're mining. A miner, when he digs up a rock, wants to keep it, even if it doesn't look very good.
Because it's how much work to get it.
So much work to get it, so you keep it and bring it back anyway, and then 6 months later throw it away.
Hold on to sentimental value for a little time. Here you go, Evan. And this is number 122, 150. It weighs 1.2 pounds. Well, this last batch, for example, can you give us a number? Let's just say that you brought back 60%. I remember you telling me only 20% make the number 1 cut and 80% are then graded differently.
That's probably fairly normal if you're keeping more of the agate.
Okay, so let's just say 20% of the agate that you're keeping ends up being number 1. And then you get to cut 10 pounds of that number 1. How much of that are you throwing out and not polishing?
About half.
About half. So you can see that all of these on the table that are even chosen to be polished are the top, what does that calculate out to be? Top 5% of what's dug.
Mm-hmm. And these are not particularly the best. There's a few good ones in here. But,
Here you go. What are we on, 18, Evan? Okay. $175 for 18. 118 is a pair. Laguna Agate's one of the hardest agates, I think, to learn how to cut. And you talked about those black siderite lines a little bit. But you also you have no idea what's going to happen on the inside.
as a general characteristic compared to, say, some of the other agates, the Laguna agate tends to have the strength of its color in the center of the nodule, more so than other agates. Like Agua Nueva, where the strength of the color is on the outside of the nodule rather than in the center. So, I mean, I have seen Laguna agates where you have a nice little chip on the outside and it's all blue or gray, no color whatsoever, and then it's cut open and it's beautiful red and yellow in the center. That's part of the excitement of cutting Laguna agates.
$122 is $150. It's a single. Are these considered plumes?
Well, those sure look like plumes.
Plumes in a Laguna agate.
There is one location on the south end of the mountain. It's never really been dug very much, where there is some vein agates with plume in them.
This one is 1.4 pounds, 160 for number 123. $124 is 120. It weighs 1.25 pounds. It has some slight dendrites in between those two bands there in the center. Number 125 is a slab. This is a slab of that vein agate.
Yes.
It has some tube formations. Keep talking, Gene. 126 is $60. 125 was $75. I missed some. Let's see, 127, 240 on this one. This is an interesting rock. That outside band has the yellow, goes to peach, yellow, and then peach in the center again. Nice red center. Not so strong on the banding, but a very interesting outside. Number 128, where are you? Oh. Can you help me, Evan? Handing them to me like you were? 180. This one weighs 0.9 pounds. I have 180, so, or no, I have, it's $180 for the pair. It's number 128. Did I say that wrong? Thank you for correcting me.
What was the number?
Number 129 is 240. Yeah, that number that was half off. What number is that?
It already got.
This one is just beautiful.
132.
Number 130 is a pair. This is kind of an oblong nodule. 130 is 240. Suppose it's supposed to go this way. What's next? 131? Ooh, I see number 132. I'm getting excited. Good job, Megan. 225. It's 131. This has a slightly curved domed surface there. Beautiful. It's number 131. 225 on that one. Okay, Megan, this one's yours. Number 132 is 240, half off to Megan. Congratulations. Nice full back and beautiful yellow. Yay, Megan. Okay, hey. Number 133 is Evan's choice of the week. He has chosen a Lapis Sphere. It is $14.99, and it could be yours today. 133. Evan's choice of the week. On to my polyhedroids, for those of you who are watching. I have 4 pair here. Number 134 is $35 for the pair. Nice baby blue and black crystal center. Is that Dana? Hi, Dana. Did someone get the eagle? No, someone did not get the eagle last week. But we had lots of yay Evans because of his great help for doing the camera work for us. Number 135 is $20 for the pair. We still have that eagle if you want it, Dana. Number 136 is $30 for the pair. Hey, someone bid on your Lapis Sphere, Evan? Do you get commission? Spoken like my son. There you go. Good job. That's right. Commission for camera work. This is a double. It's dark, but it has a little double crystal pocket there. 137 is $30 for the pair. Number 138 and 139 I threw in here for fun, just thinking about that box I cleaned out the other day of ocean that had that big cube of ocean jasper in it, and how much I've wanted to slice it up since then. But I did find these 2 slabs that are polished in the lapidary, just, you know, hanging out, waiting their turn. This is number 139, another piece of ocean jasper. $79.99 on 139. This has those beautiful orbs, multiple colors, pinks and greens and yellows. All right. Hey, Evan, should we go talk about some rough rock? So the first type of rough that we're going to show you tonight is that Laguna Agate cabbing rough. So all of those cabs that we just showed you on the table there were cut from this grade of rock. That looks like a...
You can see some of these are broken nodules that, or some are from vein. I mean, yeah, this was from a vein. It's still, the red banding on the side is great for cabbing. Here was a large broken one. This is nice, really nice for cabbing too.
So someone had asked to see this one again, number 125. My sticker's upside down here. Is $75. 1.5 by 6 by 4 millimeters.
I'd be tempted to cab that one myself.
All right, going on to our next item here is the Swazi agate cabbing.
Most of the rough we're showing in this feed is cabbing rough, or cabbing a rock that is selected or popular with people who cut cabochons.
And how is this material selected? I mean, in Africa, this material was selected in South Africa before it came here, correct?
Yes, that is a very difficult thing to do. To train those people, they have no knowledge of the American market or what is liked and what isn't. One agate is the same as another one to them, so they have to be trained. And these agates are similarly to the way the agate is chosen for Laguna cabbing. These will not produce specimens, but still have good color and pattern. So they're picked to have the rose color, which is common for the Swazi agate, and good banding.
So we offer this in two different ways here. For selection, it's $25 a pound, and we offer a 5-pound lot for $75. If you're interested in these items, remember those numbers 141 and 142, and we will contact you with, or you can say, hey, I want a 5-pound lot. I want 2 5-pound lots. I only want a pound, 1 pound of 141. We'll get back to you. Another cabbing rough material that we have for sale in the backyard is what we refer to as our Moroccan Agate cabbing rough. And that's not because it's just, yeah, okay. We'll get right to those, whoever that is. Lost my train of thought. This Moroccan agate is chosen to be labeled as cabin grade because it has some really nice tight patterns, and it comes from a variety of different locations, and you can tell how much variety this rock has, but it is all graded because it has tight pattern and multiple color in each piece.
Yeah,
The next
some of it is nodular and some of it is vein. Wonderful colors in that piece.
We got number on that one, Evan. 143 Moroccan agate cabbing for $12 a pound. This is another cabbing grade material that we have. We did show this our first week of the feed, the cabbing rough from Malawi. It has been selected to show nice color and banding open and would not cut a good specimen. That cabbing rough is $20 a pound. On to a few jaspers that we've had people ask about this week. So this first one here is Serape jasper. And we had a few different questions about where Serape jasper came from and why is it called Serape jasper. The name Serape jasper means colorful blankets, and that's what it's named after. You can see in here it's reminiscent of those beautiful blankets that they are crafted in Mexico. It is a byproduct of the lace agate claim. That means that, when they're digging the lace agate up, and this doesn't have enough of that crazy pattern that you see in the lace, but you can see some of it is here, or maybe it wasn't good enough for them to keep for the lace, but it had all of this other banded jasper on the top, and they thought, well, maybe we can just sell it as something else. And so they came up with Serape jasper. This material is mined by Gem Center of El Paso, and we source it from them. Porcelain jasper. Can you tell us about porcelain jasper?
Porcelain jasper is from Sonora. It's found high in the mountains. I can't remember the name of the town. It is a huge deposit, but there's only one area in the deposit where it's good, where it has pink and is not green. And I was asked to go there about 10 years ago and look at it, and people have been going up there and just picking up pieces off the side of the hill for forever. And it was sold under several other names before the porcelain jasper.
Was Exotica jasper?
Exotica was on one, and there was another name. Santa Fe jasper, I believe, was the very first name that it was used. But that jasper was just, people would just drive up there and pick it up off the side of the road, bring it down.
So the next item we have here, onto that Laguna agate. We only have 2 other types of Laguna agate rough to show you tonight. Just because those number 1 lots are sold on a list basis. If you want to be on that list for the number 1, please email us and let us know. We can add your name to the list, check your status of your name on the list. Stephanie does a great job keeping track of all of that for us. These are the 2-inch and smaller material out of that we talked about earlier. I had cut that tray. I had cut one of these lots up and shown you that tray earlier. I have 9 of these available. 5-pound lots for $75. Can you get the tag? Number 147. And this last group of rough material that we have is all from the Mesquite Claim, southern portion of all of the Laguna Agate claims. And you can see how the agates are generally large, and they have a lot of quartz centers, but the colorful banding on the outside is mostly blue and red.
Much larger, oftentimes have kind of a flat nodule, but not always.
So this material is selling for $10 a pound. We do have some extra large pieces of porcelain jasper, Dana, and that's exactly why I chose it for this week. I will get back to you on that. Okay, we have 2 items to show again, some requests for people looking at numbers again. We'll just do these real quick. Number 63 is 500 for the pair. And number 62. Probably the best agate in this bunch for the pair. And this one weighs 4 pounds, right? Stephanie and Sandra and Annie all have the dimensions and weights of every single one. No, just Annie. Sorry. Annie has the dimensions and weights of all of these, and so do I. So if you need to comment or question, or if you have questions about the weights or the size and all of that, we can give that to you. So as the finale of this number 7 episode comes down, we are ready for another one of Jean's mining stories. This one is about a rat.
No.
Well,
Maybe.
Maybe.
I know we're running late, so I'm going to try to cut the story down a little bit. But this is another story from my collection of Morrisonite blogs that we put together in this little book. If you ever go or have been to the Morrisonite area, you know that it's a 27-mile drive over dirt roads. You're going over flat lava plateaus where there is nothing but sagebrush. When you make the turn to the north to get to the canyon rim, can you hear me?
Louder.
There is one small tree growing right up on the edge of the canyon rim, and that's kind of a landmark. That's kind of where you're headed for, because the road goes over the rim right to the left of that tree. If you get to the rim and look down at the different world that exists in the canyon, you'll see that there's one other small tree on the ridge past the cabins. Those are the only 2 trees that you can see for miles and miles and miles unless you can see all the way down to the river where there's trees along the river. And that is a 2,000-foot drop from the canyon rim. Okay, that's background. I was mining in the Christine Marie claim, and the rock there is all loose. It's broken. It's as if you took a large column of rock, shattered it, and then tilted it over slightly. And that's the way the rock lies in the ground. And through this rock, there's little veins of jasper here, and that's what you're looking for. So this is nice because it makes it easier to mine. You don't have to use so much dynamite or that sort of thing. So it's a matter of going through it. It's a little dangerous because of the possibility of rock slides. And luckily this rock is very abrasive, so it sticks together, doesn't slide very easily. Always lets you know when it's going to slide if you were conscious to think about it. It also means it's an ideal place for rats' nests and mice, as I have explained in the past. Okay, so I'm down there digging, and I keep running into these rat nests. So you're digging along, you move a rock, out comes a bunch of dust and dirt and rat excrement and maybe a few other little things. So you dig further, and then all of a sudden, oof, you've got all this rat excrement and dust and bones falling down. And these were quite common. Eventually, I'd found nests that had old skulls in them the rats had passed on. So I would take the skull and I would set it up on a rock and go on working. This happened over a period of time, and Jake came down and visited me once, and came down in the pit and said, looked around and said, and then here I'm digging rock down here, and then here's a rat skull up on this rock, here's a rat skull up on that rock, here's a rat skull up on this rock. Gee, this looks kind of gruesome down here. So I didn't do that anymore. Anyway.
Can anyone say Wilson?
So one of those nests had a bunch of old bones in it and a bunch of sticks of pine that the rat had gathered to use it for his nest. I didn't think anything of it until later. I'm realizing that there isn't a tree within 1,000 feet and 3/4 of a mile of here. No rat's gonna go to a tree and carry a pine branch 3/4 of a mile down 1,000 feet to put in his nest. So this had me curious. So I kept some of those twigs, and later I had the opportunity to have them tested. They turned out to be 600 years old. So that was very interesting. So sometimes something that is a nuisance can become interesting later and even provide some understanding. Apparently, 600 years ago, the Morrisonite area was much wetter and there were a lot more trees around, but not today.
Thank you, Gene.
Can I make a little plug? You can do
Well, we can do it right here. Why don't you follow the camera and you keep talking? Evan? So this ends our 7th live feed, but next week, May 14th, we'll be doing Morrisonite. Can you get close on those? Gene has astonished me with the amount of Morrisonite that is coming through our lapidary. I've been working here for 20 years, and I've never seen this many fantastic pieces coming through our lapidary in 20 years. Amazing. Numbers. Here I am. I'm still on a live feed. May 21st, Quimito Agate. Here are some nodules that we plan on cutting for this feed. They come from 2 different areas, and we'll be talking about the different areas that are found on that ranch, and Gene's involvement and the gem shop's involvement in that mining. And on May 28th, you want to kick that out? Yeah. We are going to have a review. It is going to be a collection of new product from the last 9 weeks of featured items. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really hope that you all got some eye candy rock time in, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.